Hi there, I'm Addi Bauer. I'm a junior in construction engineering at Purdue. Over the summer, I worked with Mortensen Construction and their wind group on a wind repower project called Community Wind South. I had the job title of field engineer intern, and I worked out of Wilmot, Minnesota over the summer. A couple details about the project is that the pre-construction for it actually started in December, and then the construction for it started on May 8th and recently ended on September 15th. The part of the project that I was on was the first of three. There was one in Minnesota and then two in Iowa. The locations were Greeley and Hawkeye. These projects were smaller scale since they're so spread apart, as Mortensen typically will take projects that include roughly 100 plus turbines, but over the summer my project had 15 turbines and then the other two had 17 each. We were transitioning towers from Sevian to Vestas towers, and this was actually the first time that Mortensen was completing a change such as this, a repower. And it was really cool to see the documentation that went into place and how we were able to write like what to do and what not to do over the summer. And then the other two sites were in Nordex, or were converted from Nordex to GE as well. What went into repower was replacing the blades, hub, and nacelle, and then we also added a 7-meter adapter to the base. And then for the Nordex to GE, we added a 7-meter adapter instead. A couple of primary jobs that I had over the summer was assisting with the offload of parts. Something that went into this was coordinating deliveries and completing quality inspections as well. Pretty much you can see in the pictures, I'm completing a quality inspection for the products that we had just gotten shipped in. And I would go around and take pictures and make sure that if there are any damages, they were documented, and then I would also make sure that we had all of the parts that we were hoping to come with them. And then I would use this information. I would take the ID numbers of those parts and put it in a big Excel document and provide that information for turnover books later in the summer that would go into when we would give the towers back over to the owner. Something else I tracked over the summer was the RT crane activity. Whenever we would take them across the roadway to get to a new site, we would track that because we would be then charged by the city at the end of the summer. And then I also completed SWIP inspections, which is going about making sure that we were following the environmental codes in the area and that we had silt fences up and didn't have any runoff going from our sites. Here are a couple pictures of the offload. In the center you can see the crane going from one site to the next. The crane that we used that's in this picture is an LV 1700. And on the bottom right you can see that we're putting the hubcap on the hub. Here are a couple more pictures. On the right, you can see the hub being attached to the nacelle, which is what we call stabbing the hub. And we do it now instead of having to figure out how to do it at the top of the tower. In the center, you can see us flying down the nacelle from the previous tower, and you can see the rotor, which is the blades and the hub combination, on the ground on the far left from the previous tower. A couple of accomplishments over the summer was that I was able to move to a new state. This was definitely cool for me because I've lived in Indiana for my whole life, and it was definitely interesting to live a couple months in a state that's not Indiana. I also was able to work in a new industry, and it was really cool for me because I thought that this could be an industry that I'm interested in the long term. And then I was also able to accomplish created an in-depth product tracker for all of our incoming parts with Offload. It was a blank spreadsheet at the beginning of summer and full at the end, so it was really cool to see my whole summer's work in basically an Excel sheet. And then also, I was able to visit a lot of places over the summer, such as Sioux Falls, the Mall of America, Mount Rushmore, and Crazy Horse, and it was really a great experience in the area for me to be able to go explore all these areas. A couple of lessons that I have learned is that wind is a very fast-paced environment and that you must be prepared to work long hours within the industry. There are definitely big pops with it that you'll work more. Our pop was probably about 2 weeks, and then it kind of settled down on both ends. And then over the summer, I got the opportunity, or I was able to work in a various amount of opportunities to work on different parts of the project. This allowed me to have a broad scope of things that I worked on and not just working on one specific part of the project. And then another thing I learned about wind projects is that they're typically in the middle of nowhere, which is just something to note. And then I also learned over this summer that I am open to moving to new places in the future. This was a big breakthrough for me because I personally did not know how I would deal with moving to a new place over the summer. And also that is something that I am glad I did. And a couple other things that I'm glad I did was getting involved with the community nearby where I lived. And something that helped with this was the people who I rented through. They would take me along with them to fairs, and different events that the community was hosting, and so it was really cool to be able to be involved with the community outside and inside my internship. And then something that I did during my internship that was very helpful was taking notes and pictures of everything and keeping an updated schedule of the logs and tasks that I completed over the summer. This helped me complete my resume at the end of summer, as well as just having notes on what I did over the summer and the bandwidth of what I had during the week. In summary, I had a great experience with Mortensen and their wind group, and I felt like I had a vast amount of exposure to the industry, and I was able to learn in a fast-paced environment, which I loved. And over the summer, I was given responsibilities and plenty of work, and that helped me understand the scope of what I was working in, and I also had plenty of opportunities to ask questions and learn about what all goes into the repower of a wind turbine. I am planning on rejoining Mortensen next summer, which is very exciting, and overall it's just due to their wonderful work environment, and I was able to create so many meaningful relationships over the summer within and outside of work. All right, thank you so much. Have a good morning.